Dear viewers, welcome to the session. We are into the topic root locus plot, and we went through the preamble about the root locus. This is one of the time domain analysis for obtaining the stability of the system and what are the conditions under which the system will be stable. That is what we are finding with the use of root locus plots. It's an analytical cum graphical method. We went through the introduction, root loci, what are root loci, and then we went on to solve a problem also in the previous session. Now we will solve few more problems with some varieties. So problem number 2, we are asked to draw the root locus plot and we need to comment on stability for the given open loop transfer function GSHS equal to k into s plus 2 divided by s into s plus 6 into s plus 8. One never should forget that the root locus plot or Bode plot or Nyquist plot, the standard solution process will start only when we have the given question in terms of open loop transfer function, that is GSHS. If it is given in any other form like closed loop transfer function is given, or it may be a block diagram circuit, it may be a signal flow graph circuit, whatever may be the way in which the problem may have been mentioned, but still we have to derive that problem to the open loop transfer function format, and then we have to start applying the procedure about the Bode plot or Nyquist plot or root locus plot depending upon which technique we are adopting to. Now this is the problem given. The very first thing, as has been explained in the previous sessions, the very first thing is we need to obtain what are the poles given in the open loop transfer function. Pi represents the poles, what poles we are given with. So Pi are what poles we are given with, and as we can see, poles are nothing but the denominator terms. So poles are s equal to Pi, that is s equal to 0, minus 6, minus 8. You need to equate all these terms to 0, and then you will be able to know what are the poles you are given with. Then what are the zeros we are given with? Zeros are denoted by Zi. So again you need to equate the numerator terms to 0 except the constant. You need not equate constant to 0, you need to equate s terms to 0. So s plus 2 is the only factor present in the numerator apart from the given constant. So s is equal to s plus 2 equal to 0, therefore s will be equal to minus 2. That means to say there is 1 0 and there are 3 poles. And as per the previous sessions and its explanations are concerned, we know that all poles are the starting points for the root locus plot, right? So and all zeros will be the finishing points for the root locus plot or branches of root loci. So all poles we have noted down. What are the zeros we have noted down? Now the number of poles, that is denoted by capital P. How many poles are there? 1, 2 and 3. So number of poles capital P will be equal to 3. Then how many zeros do we have? Number of zeros capital Z. This is denoted by capital Z. And how many zeros do we have? S plus 2, that means there is only 1 0, that is minus 2. So there is only 1 0, that is minus 2. Then now let us start applying the rules for evolving the analytics to draw the root locus plot. Now rule number 1 says starting points, which is also called k is equal to 0 points, and as we have known, all poles are the starting points. So all poles are the starting points. So what we will write, poles starting points is s is equal to 0, as we know, minus 6 and minus 8. There will be 3 starting points. Then rule number 2 is about finishing points, and we must not forget that there must be as many finishing points as how many starting points do we have in the given problem. That means to say, the number of starting points will be equal to the number of poles, and obviously when there are, suppose in the given problem there are 3 starting points, then we need to have 3 finishing points also, and those finishing points are the zeros of the given open loop transfer function. Now finishing points, if we talk about the finishing points, a little more elaboration is required on this. See, in the given problem there are 3 starting points and there is only 1 0. So 3 starting points are there, and if we go by only the zeros are going to be the finishing points and finite zeros are going to be the finishing points, then there is only 1 0 in the given problem, whereas there are 3 starting points. So that means to say there will be 3 starting points and there will be only 1 finishing points. But the thing is, as many poles we have, those many number of starting points will be there, and those many should be the finishing points also. And in the given problem there is only 1 0, that means one of the branches, one of the starting points will lead to one of the branch of root loci that is going to terminate at one of the zeros that is given in the problem. But what about the other 2 branches of root loci which are starting from the any of the 2 poles, 3 poles that are given to us? In that case, the other 2 branches are said to be terminating at infinity, and those zeros are called infinite zeros. That is what is the criteria one to be knowing. So finishing points, they are also called k is equal to infinity points, and all zeros are going to be the finishing points. Therefore, I will write zeros, that is s is equal to s plus 2 is the, there is only 1 0, therefore minus 2. I will call this as finite 0, because we know it is going to terminate at minus 2. One of the branch is going to terminate at minus 2. But what about the other 2 branches which are starting from? Why? Because there are 3 starting points. That means 3 branches of root loci are going to start. One from 0, one from minus 6 and one from minus 8. And there is only 1 finishing point given in the problem. But what about the other 2? The other 2 branches of root loci. So they are going to terminate at infinity. That is why what we call number of infinite zeros will be equal to infinity comma infinity. So one of the branch is going to terminate at minus 2, the other 2 branches are going to terminate at infinity. Okay. Then let us come to rule number 3. It is about how many branches of root loci will be there. Number of branches of root loci, that is denoted by n. It is given by, as per the rule, number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of poles if number of poles is greater than number of z, and number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of zeros if the number of zeros is going to be more than the number of poles. Whereas in the given problem, as you can see, number of poles is 3, number of zeros is, number of poles is 3 and number of zeros is only 1. So that means to say the number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of poles, that is 3. Why? Because number of poles is greater than number of zeros, that is 3 is greater than 1. There is only 1 0, there are 3 poles. Then how many branches of root loci are going to terminate at infinity? That is given by n infinity, which is given by p difference z. It is actually p difference z, and here since pole number of poles is greater than number of 0, it is 3 difference z, that is 3 minus 1, that is 2. So number of branches of root loci terminating at infinity will be equal to 2. 2 branches of root loci are going to terminate at infinity. Now rule number 4 is about symmetry, right? Whether root loci, what is the axis of symmetry for the root loci? Let us try to illustrate here. So one pole is at 0, then at minus 2 there is a 0, at minus 2 there is a 0, which is denoted by a small circle. Poles are denoted by a cross mark, small cross mark. Then at minus 6 there is a pole, so one more pole is at minus 6, and at minus 8 also there is a pole. right? Now, what we can see here is all the poles and zeros of the given open loop transfer function, they lie on the real axis. And as we know that root loci, the branches of root loci will always be, the root loci will always go in the pairs, one above and one below. There will be more or less symmetric. Now, since all the poles and zeros of the given open loop transfer function, they lie on the real axis, the root loci will be symmetric about real axis. So, you can write, since all the poles and zeros of given open loop transfer function lie on a real axis, root loci will be symmetric about real axis. So, this is also done. Now, asymptotic straight lines. As we have already known, what are asymptotic straight lines? These are the lines along with which the branches of root loci will travel, because as we are already aware, the root loci are nothing but the continuous curves. So, in which direction these curves or these branches of root loci should travel, that is guided by the asymptotic straight lines. That is why it becomes very important for us that we find the angle at which these asymptotic straight lines will travel, as well where do they emerge from on the real axis, that is called centroid. Those two becomes very important to be found. Now, asymptotic straight line, what are the angles at which the asymptotic straight lines will travel is denoted by theta k, and which is given by 2q plus 1 into 180 degree divided by p minus z, that is number of poles minus number of zeros, where q is equal to 0, 1, 2, etc., etc. up to modulus of p minus z minus 1. Now, one thing is to be remembered, it is up to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to the modulus of p minus z minus 1. You cannot take exactly the only value which is within the modulus. You have to start from 0, q is equal to 0, you apply calculate theta 0. Q is equal to 1, you apply calculate theta 1. As such, you go up till the modulus of p minus z minus 1. Now, in the given problem, what we know is q is equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. up to p is number of poles, it is 3, z is number of zeros, which is 1, minus 1, close the modulus. Now, what do we get here? 3 minus 1 is 3 minus 2, that is 1. That means 0, 1, 2, etc. up to 3 minus 1 is modulus of 1. That means we need to go only till 1, 0 and 1, 0, 1, 2 up till 1. So, we need to give the value of q as 0 and 1, and we need to find the angles. Now, first let me say theta at 0 will be equal to 2 into 0, q is substituted for 0, then into 180 degree divided by p minus z is 3 minus 1. So, this is given by, so 2 into 0 is 0. So, 180 divided by 2, 90 degrees, and then theta at 1 is given by 2 into q is equal to 1, you substitute, plus 1 into 180 degree divided by 3 minus 1. So, which is given by, so 2 into 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 into 180 is 540, 540 divided by 3 minus 1 is 2. So, 540 divided by 2 is 270 degrees, 270 degrees. The moment you come to know about this, the moment you come to know about these angles, Now branch of asymptotic straight line, one asymptotic straight line is going at 90 degree, the other one is going at 270 degree. That means to say that the asymptotic straight lines will be going parallel to the imaginary axis in the S-plane. If you just look at the angle, 90 degree vertically upwards, then 270 degree vertically downwards, and if you just see, they will be parallel to the imaginary axis. Once we know they are standing parallel to the imaginary axis, they are never ever going to cross the imaginary axis, and we know that the branches of root loci travel along asymptotic straight lines. So if asymptotic straight line is at 90 degree, even the branch of root loci will also go at 90 degree. If asymptotic straight line is at 270 degree, even the branch of root loci is also going to travel along 270 degree. So in that case, the branches of root loci are never going to cross the imaginary axis, because of which they are never going to intersect the imaginary axis. The branches of root loci are never going to intersect the imaginary axis. In such a case, rule number 8, intersection of root loci on the imaginary axis will not be applicable. This we will get to know by just looking at the asymptotic straight lines itself. So now itself you can write, since root loci are not going to cross the imaginary axis, this rule is not applicable. We can write it here. We have subsequently completed one more rule. Now centroid, rule number 6 is about centroid. What is a centroid? Centroid is a point on the real axis from where the asymptotic straight lines will emerge, right? So it is important to calculate where the centroid is located, right? So centroid is given by the formula sigma pi minus sigma zi divided by p minus z. Pi is what? What are the poles we have got? Zi is what? What are the zeros we have got? Capital P is what? Number of poles. Capital Z is what? Number of zeros. So what we can do here is summation of sigma pi means you sum all the poles together. So therefore, what poles do we have? 0, minus 6 and minus 8. So 0 plus minus 6 plus minus 8, then minus summation of zeros, there is only one zero, that is minus 2. So minus 2, I will write here, divided by P minus Z. What is capital P? 3, number of poles. What is capital Z? Number of zeros, that is 1. How much do you get? Minus 6 minus 8, it is minus 14. Minus 14 minus into minus 2 plus 2. So minus 14 plus 2 minus 12. Minus 12 divided by 3 minus 2, that is 2. 3 minus 1, that is 2. So minus 12 divided by 2 will be minus 6. So asymptotic straight lines will emerge from minus 6 on the real axis. Then rule number 7, root loci on real axis. How to know this is, it is very easy. There is a pole at 0, there is a 0 at minus 2, there is a pole at minus 6, there is a pole at minus 8. We need to find whether root loci exists on real axis, and if at all it exists, where all does it exist. Now the procedure is, you leave the first, whether it is a pole or a 0 here, the first factor you just leave. Then you just check if root locus exists between minus 2 and 0. To know this, between minus 2 and 0. See, whether root locus or root loci exist between minus 2 and 0, if you want to know, then you just have to keep your hand here, just look towards your right, count the number of poles and zeros. how many poles and zeros are present towards your right? So if you just see here, there is only one pole that is existing. Okay, so 1 is an odd number. So when it is odd, the root loci exists between -2 and 0. That is what it means to say. So it is odd. The count is odd. So root locus or root loci exist. Now it is done. So between -2 and 0, root locus or root loci exist. So I will write it with color chalk. Okay, and then we can also see here that, see, this is a pole, and root locus always start from a pole. This is a 0. Root locus always terminate at a 0. So the root locus is starting from this pole and terminating at a 0. So arrow is very important. If it is leaving the pole, that means it has started from the pole. If it is getting into the 0, that means it is terminating at a 0. So one branch has started from this pole and it has got terminated at this 0. That is what it means to say. Then come to the next factor, that is -6. There is a pole at -6. Keep your hand here, look towards your right. So what we are tending to know is between -6 and -2, between -2 and 0 is over. Now between -6 and -2, whether there are branches of root loci existing or not, if you want to find, keep your hand here, look towards your right. So -2 and 0, a 0 and a pole is there, so total count is 2. 2 is even, so when it is even, then root locus will not be present. So that means to say between -6 and -2, the count is even, root locus will not be present. That is what we will be writing here. So between -6 and -2, the count is even, so root loci does not exist. Where? Between -6 and -2. Then after this span, now it is this span. So between -8 and -6. So between -8 and -6. See, keep your hand here, look towards your right. How many poles and zeros are there? 2 poles and a 0. It makes it 3. The total count is 3. So 3 is even, odd or even? It is odd. So when it is odd, when the count is odd, the root locus will be present. So between -8 and -6, the count is odd. So therefore the root locus will be present. So between -8 and -6, it is odd. So root locus or root loci present or exists. So I'll have to write here. Fine. Root locus or root loci is present. Now as you can see over here, this is a 0, this is a pole, this is also a pole. Both of them are poles. And what are the poles? Poles are the starting points. And does it start here? No. Does it start, the root locus start on this side? No. Why it doesn't start is because, as we have known here, the root locus is not present between -6 and -2. So you can, if you write arrow here, it will become wrong. The root locus is not existing beyond -8 also. Root locus is existing between -8 and 0. That means the starting points, the starting of the root locus will be in the direction. If we take -6, then it will be towards -8. If we take -8, it will be towards -6. So one branch is starting here and one branch is starting here. Now as you can see, looking at this rule, you can find or you can determine whether rule number 9, that is breakaway or saddle point rule, is applicable or not. How? See, since these two branches, one branch of root locus is starting from -6, the other branch has started from -6, they are heading towards one another. When they are heading towards one another, obviously they will collide at some point and they will break away. That is why What the moment we look at this rule, that is root loci on real axis, we will come to know whether breakaway or saddle point rule is applicable or not. So in this problem, we find that breakaway or saddle point rule is applicable, that is rule number 9 is going to be applicable. Why? Because one branch is starting at -6, the other branch is starting at -6, and they both are traveling towards one another. So they will collide at one point and they will break away. This is what is the importance of rule number 7. Now, rule number 8, intersection of root loci with the imaginary axis, we have already resolved the issue. Then, as we know, rule number 9 is about breakaway point or saddle point. We know from rule number 7 that breakaway point or saddle point rule is applicable in this problem. Now, how to find where the breakaway point or saddle point will be existing on the root locus plot? One thing is very important to know. The moment you look over here, where the breakaway or saddle point will exist, we can easily make out where do the breakaway point exists in this particular problem. Why? Because if we just look over here, the root locus is present between -2 and 0, but is there any collision happening? No. Between -6 and -2, there is no root locus present. Obviously, neither breakaway point nor saddle point will exist. Between -8 and -6, yes, there are two branches of root loci starting, one from -6, the other from -8, and they both are heading towards one another, and therefore they will collide and break away. That means to say, we can easily anticipate that the branch of root, the breakaway point will exist between -8 and -6 only. So that means the value of the breakaway point will be between -6 and -8 only. So -6 to -8, anywhere between these two values, the breakaway point will be existing. That is the one very important clue that will not let you to commit mistake when solving any of the problems. So with that kept in mind, let us try to calculate the breakaway point. See, the formula, the equation, the procedure for obtaining the breakaway point or saddle point is given by d by ds of OLTF, that is d by ds of GSHS equal to 0. Now, before we start using d by ds of GSHS equal to 0, let us try to simplify our open loop transfer function for calculation ease. So, see, we have got in the numerator s into s plus 6 into s plus 8. So, that if we just remove the brackets and multiply, then we will get s cube plus 14s square plus 48s. So, therefore, that is what after this step, this is what has been done. So, d by ds of GSHS is given GSHS is k into s plus 2 divided by s into s plus 6 into s plus 8. We have multiplied, we have eliminated these brackets, and then we got this one. Now, the u by v rule if you apply, v d by ds of k into s plus 2, if we just k into s plus 2 if you do, k as well as 2, they are constants. So, the differentiation of constant is going to be 0, k into s, that means s will only retain, only k will retain, s will go. So, then s plus 2 for this one, k into s plus 2, if you just take up over here, because it is a constant, it is not that very crucial there. So, s plus 2 into, I have taken up the difference d by ds of s cube plus 14s square plus 48s. So, if we just see d by ds of s cube, it will be 3s square plus d by ds of 14s square, it will be 28s, and d by ds of 48s, then it will be given with only 48. Divided by v square is this square, equal to d by ds of GSHS equal to 0, so that equal to 0 will retain. Finally, we will get this equation 2s cube plus 20s square plus 56s plus 96, and by trial and error method, we know that what value is going to be for the breakaway point. It has to be anywhere between -6 and -8. So, even if in the calculators if you do, then I think probably you will get three values. S is equal to -6.97, S is equal to -1.51, and S will be equal to minus 1.51. And we know that among all these three values that we obtain from calculations, or maybe through the calculator, whatever values we get, if we just look at these values, which one is possible? If you just see minus 1.51, minus 1.51, is there any possibility of having breakaway point? No. Minus 1.51 is another value, so it doesn't apply. Minus 6.97 we have got as one of the values from the calculation, right? So minus 6.97, if you just see between minus 8 and minus 6 it exists minus 6.97. Obviously we know that the breakaway point exists between minus 6 and minus 8. So minus 6.97 is going to be more probabilistic value. So we will straight away agree to this. So this is what is your breakaway point. Minus 6.97. Then angle of arrival or angle of departure, rule number 10. And as we know that this rule will be applicable only when there are complex poles or zeros. In this problem there are no complex poles or zeros. So since there are no complex poles or zeros in the given OLTF, this rule is not applicable. So all the 10 rules are done now. We will try to draw the root locus plot here. It has to be drawn in a graph sheet, mind it. This is S plane. What we will do? 1, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8. This is positive real axis. This is negative real axis. This is negative j omega, that is imaginary axis. This is positive imaginary axis. J, J2, J3, J4 as such. And here minus J, minus J2, minus J3, minus J4, 1, 2, 3 as such. And here is 0. Now let us try to mark all the poles. So starting points are all the poles. So poles are 0, then minus 6 and minus 8. 3 poles we have got. And then there is a 0 at minus 2 in the given problem. Okay. Then yes, angle of asymptotes, as we have calculated, it is 90 degree and 270 degree. And the centroid from where the asymptotic straight lines will emerge, it is minus 6. So minus 6 is here, this is the centroid, minus 6. And one asymptotic straight line will travel at 90 degree. So from minus 6, I will draw a line vertically upwards, that is minus, it is 90 degree. The other asymptotic straight line will travel at 270 degree. So I will have to draw along 270 degree, it comes down. Then root loci on the real axis, root loci on the real axis. So as we know, between minus 2 and 0, it is odd, it exists. So between minus 2 and 0, between minus 2 and 0, root loci exists. And we know that since this is a pole, it is a starting point, so arrow should be written in that direction, it is leaving, and this is a 0, arrow should be written so that it is terminating inside the 0. Then between minus 6 and minus 2, no root locus present, leave it. Between minus 8 and minus 6, it is odd, root locus is present. So between minus 8 and minus 6, root locus is present. And This is a pole, so branch of root loci will be leaving the pole. This is also a pole, branch of root loci will be leaving this pole. Both of them are heading. Now, where do they break away? No intersection, this rule is not applicable. Then where do they break away? They break away at minus 6.97. So, minus 6.97 is here, somewhere here. So, breakaway point is here, minus 6.97. From here you will write. So, from minus 6.97, what you will do is at this point you will start it, and how it will go? It is not a straight line, so you cannot straight away draw a straight line. What you will do is from minus 6.97 on negative real axis, you will mark a point BAP, and then you will take a small curve. You will take a small curve from that point upwards, one branch going upwards. They are breaking away. So, they are colliding here at minus 6.97, and then they are breaking away in pairs, one above and one below. So, one branch is going above, so it is leaving. Where is it going? It is going till infinity. Then the other branch is along this asymptotic straight line. So, in this direction you will draw, and it is going away. Where? It is also going till infinity. Now, how many branches are terminating at infinity? As you can just see over here, number of branches of root loci terminating at infinity, there are two. As you can see, one branch at infinity, the other branch at infinity, that makes two branches terminating at infinity. One branch terminating at a finite zero. And now, coming to the comment on the stability, this is what is about root locus plot. Now, coming to the commenting on the stability, as you can see here, as long as the root locus plot, these branches of root loci, they are on the left hand side of imaginary axis, it is going to be stable. And not just that, in the given problem, we find that the branches of root loci are never going to cross the imaginary axis, because of which they are never going to be unstable. So, that means today for all values of k, the system is going to be stable in the given problem. This is what is going to be the comment. So, since root loci are not crossing the imaginary axis for any values of k, the system is stable. Okay, for any value of k, the system is going to be stable. This is because you can see one branch is along 90, the other branch is along 270, and even this branch is moving towards the left hand side. When will the system become unstable? Only and only when the root loci is going to cross and move to the right hand side of S plane, which in this case never going to happen, because of which for any value of k, the system is going to be stable. Let us solve one more problem on root locus plot. What is asked here in this problem number 3 is to draw the root locus plot and comment on stability for the given open loop transfer function k into s plus 4 divided by s into s plus 2. Now, the procedure remains the same. What we will do first is we will write in poles, right? Poles are nothing but the denominator factors. Poles are pi, that is s is equal to 0 and s is equal to minus 2. We need to equate the denominator terms to 0, and we will obtain what are s values, and those will become the poles. Zeros are s plus 4, there is only one 0. So, s is equal to minus 4 is the only 0 present. Number of poles we are given with. How many poles are there? 2 poles. How many zeros are there? There is only one 0. Then starting points, the first rule to be applied so that we could develop the analytics for drawing the root locus plot is starting point. All poles are the starting points. So, poles is equal to s is equal to what poles are there? 0 and minus 2. Two starting points are there. Then finishing points, k is equal to infinity points. So how many, all zeros will be the finishing points? There is only one 0 present, that is minus 4. So 0 is equal to s is equal to minus 4. Since there are two starting points, there must be two finishing points also. But we are having only one 0, that means there is only one finishing point at minus 4. The other branch of root loci, which is starting at the other pole, will terminate at infinite 0. So one in finishing point is minus 4, the other finishing point will be minus infinity. Minus infinity. Why? Because there are two starting points, there must be two finishing points. Since in the given problem there is one 0, because therefore there is only one finishing point given in the open loop transfer function, the other finishing point will exist at infinity. That is what it means to say. So that is why we call it as infinite 0. Then the number of branches of root loci n. See, as per the rule, number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of poles if the number of poles is greater than number of zeros. And if the number of zeros is greater than number of poles, then number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of zeros. In the given problem, as we can see, number of poles is 2, number of zeros is 1. So therefore, 2 is greater than 1. So when this is the case, the number of branches of root loci n will be equal to number of poles, that is 2. There will be 2 branches of root loci. The number of branches of root loci terminating at infinity. How many branches of root loci terminates at infinity? So n infinity is what it gives, and it is given by p difference z, and then we know that number of poles is 2, number of zeros is 1. So 2 difference 1 or 2 minus 1. So that means number of branches of root loci terminating at infinity, it will be 1. Symmetry, rule number 4 is symmetry. Symmetry. Now if you just see, in the S-plane, if you just mark all the poles and zeros, there is a pole at the origin 0, there is a pole at minus 2, there is a 0 at minus 4. All of them are lying on the negative real axis. So that means to say, since all the poles and zeros of the given open loop transfer function lie on the real axis, the root loci will be symmetric about real axis. This will be the rule number 4. Then rule number 5, asymptotic straight lines. At what angle do asymptotic straight lines will be existing? So it is given by theta k is equal to 2q plus 1 into 180 degree divided by p minus z, where q will be equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. up to modulus of p minus z minus 1. Now in the given problem, q is equal to 0, 1, 2, etc. up to modulus of, what is p? Total number of poles, it is 2. What is z? Number of zeros, it is, there is 1 0, 2 minus 1 minus 1. So 2 minus 1, it is 0, 1, 2, etc. up to 0. That means value of q should be calculated only for one value, that is 0. So now when we say that, then theta at 0 will be equal to 2 into q value is 0 plus 1 into 180 degree divided by number of poles is 2, number of zeros is 1. This is given by 2 into 0 plus 1. So 1 into 180 by 2 minus 1, that is 1. It gives me 180 degree only. There is only one asymptotic straight line that will be along 180 degree. That is, if we plot it on the S plane, then we will find that along negative real axis, the total negative real axis will be 180 degree. Now you just see, rule number 6 is about centroid. What is a centroid? Centroid is a point on real axis from where the asymptotic straight lines will emerge to go into various directions or at various angles. But here if you just see, when we plot the asymptotic straight line, since this is at 180 degree, that means from the origin if we start, the entire negative real axis is going to be the asymptotic straight line. And from this entire negative real axis, there are no other asymptotic straight lines going away, because of which what you can see is there is no existence of centroid itself. Why? Because there is only one asymptotic straight line, and that too it is lying straight away totally on the 180 degree line, that is entire negative real axis. So, because of which what we can say is, since asymptotic straight line is lying only on entire negative real axis, centroid does not exist. You can see there is only one angle of asymptote, that is 180 degree, and that too, that means to say the asymptotic straight line is going to be on entire negative real axis. Even here, if you just see, the intersection of root loci with the imaginary axis does not exist. Why? Because there is only one angle of asymptote, that too along 180 degree line. 180 degree line lies on the entire negative real axis. The branches of root loci will approach the asymptotic straight lines, or they travel along asymptotic straight line. So, therefore, if the asymptotic straight line is along 180 degree, even the branches of root loci will also be along 180 degree, and 180 degree will be towards the left hand side of S plane, because of which there is no way the root locus or the branches of root loci will travel towards the right hand side of S plane, because of which the system is never going to be unstable. Why? Because the condition for stability is, as long as the root locus or the branches of root loci are on the left hand side of S plane, they are very much stable. The moment they intersect the imaginary axis, along the imaginary axis in the S plane, if we find, then they will be neither stable nor unstable, and if they move to the right half of S plane, then they become unstable. So, in the given condition at 180 degree means to say it will be towards entirely on the left half of S plane, because of which the system is never going to be unstable. So, that is what is the conclusion we can draw. So, because of which rule number 8, that is the intersection of root loci with the imaginary axis, does not apply. Rule number 7, that is root loci on real axis. If we just see, if this is the S plane, there is a pole at 0, there is a pole at -2, there is a 0 at -4. If we just look here, then between -2 and 0, between -2 and 0, if we just see, the count towards the right hand side of -2 is odd. So, odd. So, root locus is present. Then between -4 and -2, if you just see, between -4 and -2, if we just see, if we keep our hand here towards our right, the count is going to be even, because 1, 2 poles are there. So, the count is going to be even. So, because of which the root locus is not present. So, if we just mark it over here, between -2 and 0, root locus will be present, and since these two are heading towards one another, because this is also a pole, this is also a pole, the root locus will be starting. So, obviously what we can say is breakaway point exists. This is what is one of the inference we can draw from rule number 7. So, breakaway point exists, and then -4, between -4 and -2, since the count is even, root locus does not exist. But still this is a 0, and here on this side the root locus is not present. That means to say on the other side the root locus is present. Why? Because this is to be the terminating point. So, that means if the root locus is not present on this side, then on this side it will be present. So, root locus is going to travel along this side, and arrow has to be written so that it is going inside the 0. Why? Because this is a 0 and 0 is always going to be the terminating point. Okay. Then when the root locus is terminating here, from where the branch of root loci is coming here and terminating at this 0, then that means to say there will be a saddle point. There will be a saddle point. So both breakaway as well as saddle point will be existing in this particular problem. First, the breakaway point exists here because two branches of root loci are heading towards one another, so they will be breaking away. And since this branch of root loci is terminating at 0, from where the branch of root loci is coming, so it will be obviously on the negative real axis, so there will be a saddle point also. That means rule number 9, breakaway or saddle point rule will be applicable. Then rule number 8, intersection of root loci with the imaginary axis. So from here itself we had drawn the inference that this is not going to be applicable because the root loci is not going to cross the imaginary axis. Rule number 9 is about breakaway or saddle point. This is applicable, we have known over here. Then how we find breakaway or saddle point? Obviously from here we got to know that both breakaway as well as saddle point is applicable, and therefore rule number 9, breakaway or saddle point d by ds of GSHS equal to 0 is applicable. When we simplify this, what we have done here is s into s plus 2, we have just removed the bracket, we got s square plus 2s, and we have applied u by v rule. So v d by ds of u minus u d by ds of v divided by v square equal to 0. What we found was, we got by simplification or factorization, we got two values of s, one as s1 is equal to minus 6.83 and the other one as s2 is equal to minus 1.18. And as we can see, where is the chance of breakaway point to exist? It is between minus 2 and 0 because these are heading towards one another. So there is only one chance that they will collide and break away. So breakaway point is possible to exist at between minus 2 and 0. And where is the saddle point possibility to exist? It is possible to exist beyond minus 4, that is minus 5 or minus 6 or whatever. And these 2 points that we have got, if we mark, then minus 1.18 comes between minus 2 and 0. Therefore, this is going to be the breakaway point, and minus 6.83 is going to go beyond minus 4. So that means this is going to be the saddle point. This is going to be the saddle point. Okay. Now, rule number 10, since there are no complex poles or zeros, this rule is not going to be applicable. If we try to plot, let us try to plot. At 0, there is a pole. At minus 2, there is a pole. At minus 4, there is a 0. Then, centroid does not exist. The asymptotic straight line will lie along 180 degree line. So entire negative real axis will be the asymptotic straight line. So that means the root locus is going to travel along 180 degree, and then root loci on real axis between minus 2 and 0, the root locus will be present, and obviously these are starting points, so arrow should be such that it is leaving 0 and leaving minus 2 towards each other. Between minus 4 and minus 2, the root locus does not exist, but root locus terminate at minus 4 coming from somewhere, from where the saddle point will tell us. So root locus will present beyond minus 4. The intersection of root loci does not apply. Breakaway point exists at minus 1.18. So here somewhere breakaway point will be present. So breakaway point will be present here. Saddle point will be present at minus 6.83. So it will be here. Saddle point will be present here. So from here the root locus has started. Now we can get to know. From here it has started to move and terminate at minus 4. So how we can draw? So it has the branch of root loci breakaway here. They travel in a circle and come and terminate and meet the negative real axis again at minus 6.83, right? And then they travel towards minus 4. From here also, since the root loci will always travel in pair, it will be in this direction. Conclusion, So this is what is going to be the root locus plot, and what comment we can make is the system is stable as the root loci does not move to the right half of S plane. Let us solve one more problem, that is problem number 4. Compared to the previous problem what we have solved, the open loop transfer function is changed with a very minute issue, that is we had k into s plus 4 divided by s into s plus 2 as the open loop transfer function. Now let us try to see what magic does a small change in the problem does to the conclusions or the results that we will be getting out of the root locus plot procedures. Let us solve the problem. The stages of solution remain the same. What are the poles do we have? All numerator factors. Equate s into s plus 4 to 0, we will get s is equal to 0 and s is equal to minus 4, those two will be the poles. And you equate s plus 2 equal to 0, that will be the numerator term, and what will be that? That will be the 0 of the given open loop transfer function, that is minus 2. Then how many poles are there? 2 poles are there. How many zeros? Only 1 0 is going to be. And then we will straight away get into the evolving the analytics for drawing the root locus plot. Now rule number 1, starting point, that is k is equal to 0 point, and all poles are going to be the starting points. What are the poles we have got? That is s is equal to 0 and minus 4. 2 starting points, one branch of root loci will start at 0, the other branch is going to start at minus 4. Then finishing points, that is also termed as k is equal to infinity points, that is zeros, which will be equal to s is equal to minus 2 in the given problem. Then there are 2 starting points, then we cannot have just one finishing point. So in the given problem, if there is only one finishing point given, that is a finite 0, then the other starting point from where the branch of root loci is going to start, it is going to terminate at infinity. That is why we call it as infinite 0. So number of infinite 0 will be equal to minus infinity, that will be only 1. Then rule number 3 is going to be the number of branches of root loci, that is denoted by n. And as we know, the number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of poles if the number of poles is going to be more than number of zeros. And in the given problem, number of poles is 2, number of zeros is 1. So p is greater than z in the given problem. Why? Because 2 is greater than 1. Therefore, number of branches of root loci will be equal to number of poles, which is 2. Then how many branches will terminate at infinity? That is n infinity. It is given by p difference z. So number of poles is 2, difference number of zeros is 1. So there will be one branch of root loci which will be terminating at infinity. Then rule number 4 is about symmetry. If we mark here in S plane, then we will have a pole at 0. There is a 0 at minus 2 and there is a pole at minus 4. There is a pole at minus 4. Then what we can observe here is all the poles and zeros of the given open loop transfer function, they are lying on the real axis, because of which the root loci will be symmetric about real axis. This is what we have written here. Since all the poles and zeros of the given OLTF lie on the real axis, the root loci will be symmetric about real axis. Then angle of asymptotes, which is given by theta k is equal to 2q plus 1 into 180 divided by p minus z, where q is equal to 0, 1, 2 up to p minus z minus 1. So 0, 1, 2 dash 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 up to capital P is about number of zeros, capital Z is about number of zeros. So P is number of poles. So number of poles is 2, number of zeros is 1 and minus 1 as it is under the modulus. So it will give us to 0, 1, 2 etc. up to modulus of 0. That means you need to give the value of Q as 0 alone and calculate the angle of asymptote. So theta at 0, it is going to be 2 into 0 plus 1 into 180 degree. divided by 2 minus 1. P minus Z, P is number of poles, Z is number of zeros, so 2 minus 1. So it is going to lead us to 180 degrees. So there will be only one asymptotic straight line existing for the given open loop transfer function, and that is also going to be along 180 degree. And since this is only one asymptotic straight line, that too it is along 180 degree, because of which centroid will not be existing. Why? Because as we know the definition of centroid is a point on the real axis from where the asymptotic straight lines will emerge at various angles. And here there are not more than one asymptotic straight line, and that is also lying along 180 degree, because of which centroid will not be existing. So rule number 6 does not apply. Then root loci on real axis, that is rule number 7. Here if we just observe, here, there is a pole at 0, there is a 0 at minus 2, and there is a pole at minus 4. If you observe over here, between minus 2 and 0, if we see the count, total number of poles or zeros towards the right hand side, it is going to be only 1. So the count is going to be odd. Root locus will be present between minus 2 and 0. So root locus is present between minus 2 and 0. And since this pole is nothing but the starting point, I will have to write the arrow, which means branch of root loci is leaving 0, that is, it is a pole. And then since minus 2 is a 0, I need to write the arrow such that it is towards the 0, that is minus 2, and it means to say that branch of root loci is terminating at minus 2. Then between minus 4 and minus 2, if we see towards the right hand side, count the total number of poles and zeros existing. So minus 2 and 0, they are going to be 2. The total count will be even, because of which the root locus will not exist between minus 4 and minus 2. Whereas as we can see over here, this is going to be the starting point, because of which if the root locus is not present on this side, obviously it has to be present on the other side. So it is going to leave the pole minus 4, and the arrow is going to go on the left hand side. Okay. Then rule number 8, as we know there is only one asymptotic straight line along 180 degree, and 180 degree, that means to say the branch of root loci will also be along 180 degree, and it is going to be towards left hand side of S plane, because of which the root loci is never going to intersect the imaginary axis and move to the right hand side of the S plane, because of which it is never going to be applicable. This rule, that is intersection of root loci with the imaginary axis, is not going to be applicable. And one more inference what we can draw, that is a very important conclusion as far as the solution is concerned. Since root loci or no branch of root loci is going to cross and move to the right hand side of S plane, the system is going to be stable for any values of k, or what we can say, for any values of gain, the system is going to be stable. Then breakaway point, rule number 9, if we just see breakaway point. Here in the rule number 7 itself, if we observe, when will the breakaway or saddle point will exist? We know that whenever two branches of root loci are colliding towards one another, or whenever there are two zeros existing subsequently or successively on the negative real axis, or anywhere from, and it is found that the root locus is present between those two zeros. In such a case, both the branches of root loci will be traveling towards the zeros. Therefore, some saddle point is required. From somewhere the branches of root loci need to come and meet at the saddle point and then move towards both the zeros. Both the situations are not existing over here, because see, from here the root locus has terminated at minus 2, which is a 0. Then from minus 4 the branch of root loci has started and it is moving till infinity. That means there is neither a collision of the branches of root loci, nor there is going to be a meeting point or saddling of the branches of root loci, because of which the rule number 9, that is breakaway point or saddle point, is not going to exist. So, since there are no branches of root loci heading towards one another or living from each other, this rule is not applicable. Then rule number 10, angle of departure or arrival. Since there are no complex poles or zeros in the given open loop transfer function, this rule is also not applicable. Now let us try to draw the root locus plot. This is negative real axis, this is positive real axis, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7 as such. And this is positive imaginary axis and this is negative imaginary axis. And now let us mark the given data. So there is a pole at the origin, so cross mark. There is a 0 at -2, so small circle. There is a pole at -4. Then asymptotic straight line will be along 180 degree. So the entire negative real axis will be the asymptotic straight line then. Then centroid does not exist. Root locus exists between -2 and 0. So this is a pole, this is a 0. Between -2 and 0, root locus will be existing. And as we know, this is a pole, so root locus will start from here, so arrow will be leaving the pole. And this is a 0, so root locus will be terminating at a 0, so arrow will be towards the 0. So root locus has started here, terminated here. Then between -4 and -2, root locus does not exist, leave it. Then from -4, the root locus is leaving. So if it is not, the root locus is not on the right hand side, it will be along left hand side towards the, moving towards the infinity. And obviously arrow has to be such that it is leaving the pole. Then intersection rule does not exist, breakaway point does not apply, as well the angle of departure rule is not applicable, because of which what we can say is, we could plot this, and then now what we can say is the system is stable as root loci does not move to the right half of S plane, right? System is stable for all values of k, it is important. You can add this for all values of k even for the previous problems also. Thank you.